So if you've spent the last 15, 20, or 25 years in government or corporate America, then you already know that the real value that you bring and you offer is not in what you do, it's in how you think. So charging for your time and not your impact, that is not the way to go. And so today I want to change that. Now, is it possible that if you are new to consulting or new to freelance, or if you are creative, that your impulse is to charge hourly? Well, if you are undervaluing the strategic side of you that you can bring to every project. As someone who is either in government or in corporate, we've all been kind of brainwashed to think that showing up is results. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. So in this video, I am going to help you change your mindset around how you can showcase decades of your experience. And that means you are bringing your problem-solving skills to the table. You have the ability to see patterns. You can provide insights like no one else can. So stick with me today because I am going to show you how your clients can start paying you for the outcomes and the impact that you bring to the table. Now, if you are new to my channel, I am Tammy with Make It a Double, and I am a two-time recovering business owner who loves all things entrepreneurship and travel. So welcome. Now, we're going to chop it up a little bit about how you can transition from an employee to a consultant, creative, or freelance. And you can do it in a very easy way. The first thing, though, before I even start talking anything about strategy, it's all about your mindset, right? So let me give you a really good example. So when I first started, I started out as a freelance consultant. And initially, when I first started, I began pricing my services through hourly rate, right? And what I slowly began to realize is that me charging an hourly rate, I felt like, I don't know, I kind of felt like I was still an employee, but an employee for clients, right? I felt like I was charging for the tasks or the things that I was doing. And so I really needed to shift my mindset around, or I needed to disconnect. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. I needed to disconnect the things that I was doing, right, from the effort that I was putting in to the fees that I was charging or the hourly rate that I was charging. Like I needed to redo and rethink that whole thing. So what I began to do was really understand what was the value that I was bringing to my clients. Was I saving them time, money, headache, whatever? I began on my own journey on how to do that. So one of the things that I did as I was kind of thinking things through and really getting crystal clear on my offering and what kinds of impact I was showing up with, I then, even myself, began to switch from hourly pricing to a fixed price provider. And once I began to really get crystal clear on the impact and the outcomes that I was driving, and I was tying that to value, I was tying that to a dollar value, like that is when the light bulb moment came. Initially, I was charging, let's just say I was charging $100 an hour for proposal writing. And for those of you that don't know, I've spent my career the last 25 years in proposal writing and pricing. I initially started as an hourly rate, or that's what I was proposing to clients anyway. And so I started, let's just say I was, proposing $100 an hour. Well, what I did is I transitioned from charging an hourly rate of $100 an hour to now an outcome base, which was $3,000 a proposal. What I understood about that is I had very consistent workflow. I understood all of the inputs that it was going to take to develop that proposal. And I also understood the time that it would take to do this as well. And that helped me create a fixed price rate that I could then propose to my clients. Now, how did I go about making that decision? Well, again, I understood how much effort it was going to take in order for me to do that. I also understood what the outcome was. And in my particular case, it was a finished winning proposal. I also understood that with that winning proposal, if I was going to charge my client X amount of dollars for this proposal, and then they won the proposal, right? So let's say they paid me $3,000 for that proposal, but then the job that they actually won was like 100, 200, 500,000, $1 million proposal. Well, $3,000 that's still, even when I think about it today, I'm like, that is a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of impact that their business was going to have as a result of a winning proposal that I helped them put together. So again, thinking through the effort, the outcome, and then the impact that you're making is very critical when you are trying to get to more of a value-based pricing model. Now, why did I do that? Well, one of the reasons, there were several reasons why I did it, but one of the reasons is because it was scalable. I knew exactly what it took to do the work. And so now when I brought on additional people, I brought on additional staff or additional consultants, I could teach them the same kind of method of madness. And I could do it in a consistent way where now, if I have got a systematic way that I develop a product, then I could teach that same thing to people who came into my business. And so now I could multiply that effort. So that's what I mean when I say scalable. I could answer the questions on value. So when I have clients that would tap me on the shoulder and say, well, this seems a little pricey, I think I would rather kind of lean to more of the hourly model, I could immediately give them results. I could say, you can invest $3,000 in this proposal. In exchange, a $100,000 opportunity that you could win or $1 million opportunity. Now it doesn't look so bad, them investing $3,000 to get a win upside of $1 million. To me, it's a no-brainer, right? And that was a way that I could articulate my value. And then lastly, I wanted to make sure that I was not exchanging, or I was no longer exchanging, my time for money. I could have a lot more freedom and flexibility as a consultant. Now I don't have to be chained to a desk and filling out time cards, or having one of my clients, what I like to call nickel and dime me to death, and say, well, Tammy, for this particular activity, did you actually spend that amount of hour to develop X, Y, and Z? I did not want to get into that back and forth discussion. So what were some of the results as a result of me changing my pricing model? Well, I got consistent cash flow. That's number one, because we all need consistent cash flow. It was easier for me to sell. It was easier for anyone that I brought on in a sales capacity to also be able to sell it. The clients were happy with the consistency because, again, I created a model, or if you think of it like in a product sense, I created a model that was very crystal clear, right? And so now customers could understand what they are going to receive and what kind of impact either myself or my team could make. And then how did it grow my business? Well, let me tell you, I'm going to share with you. Not only did it increase our income, it also increased our profitability because now we could build in efficiencies into our workflow that would allow us to spend less time, use more innovation to get the client the impact that they were looking for. It also stabilized our cash flow, right? I know exactly what's going out the door every month. I knew what I could expect, and that was really, really good. Not only that, it created internal efficiencies for how we developed our solutions, right? And for any business and for any entrepreneur, any consultant, you always want to be more efficient. Like, who doesn't want to be more efficient? And then also it reduced our scope creep. So because it created very moments or points in time, it also helped us reduce extra added work that we may not have billed for, right? Or it also allows you to go back to the client and we could talk to them about what that extra work or that extra scope could be. And then we would price based on that. So that's kind of my real world scenario on how you can apply it. Now, number one, identify your expertise, okay? Make sure that you understand that you are increasing revenue. You are increasing savings for that company. You're reducing the risk for that company, or you've got some strategic clarity around what you're offering. Make sure that you are framing your proposals around outcomes. So as you present this information to your client, make sure you are presenting outcomes and impact, and not just a list of tasks. We want to price to the impact and the outcome. So tell them and show them. This is the opportunity, really, for you to tell them and show them why you are great at what you do. Or I delivered a roadmap that increased their sales by X%. When you couch things from an impact perspective, it makes it more palatable for your client, number one. Number two, it makes it more actionable. And again, it articulates your value. So as we think about kind of a framework on how we can do this, number one, as you are presenting to your customer, and I would imagine that this is a dialogue, this is a back and forth that you're having, right? Ask your customer what's valuable to them. Ask them what their desired outcome is. In order for you to articulate your value, this is a baseline. Like, you've got to be able to talk to them. You've got to be able to ask them questions. I know sometimes we just want to pitch the price over there and hope that they'll take it, right? But the way that you can better articulate your value is through having intentional conversations around value. So again, ask them what is valuable to them. And then secondly, quantify that outcome into dollars. So if you help them make more money, quantify that. If you help them decrease their costs, quantify that. You want to be able to put some numbers to that. And that's how you're easily able to calculate that number. And then whatever that value is, whatever those numbers are, whatever that percentage is that you've saved them or that you've increased their bottom line revenue, you are going to take a percentage of that value. So again, ask your customer what's valuable to them, quantify that outcome into dollars in some sort of way, right? And then once you've quantified it, then you take a percentage of that number. And it's just that easy. If you have any questions about that formula, I'd be more than happy. So go down in the comments, slap pricing down there. I'll give you this quick value calculator formula that you can then plug in for your consulting gig or freelance opportunity. So I want you to make sure that you're either not or no longer trading your time for dollars. I want you to articulate your value so that you can get the kinds of fees that you deserve. Now, I hope that you found this information to be really helpful. It is always a pleasure for me to talk pricing. Again, drop down in the comments, throw in pricing. I will be more than happy to give you my little value pricing framework formula for you to then incorporate into the things that you're doing. Please comment, like, subscribe to our channel. I enjoy this kind of entrepreneurial nerdiness because I'm an entrepreneurial nerd. And until we speak again, I am Tammy from Make It a Double. I'm out.